You're listening to the Reds Podcast.
This is episode number 90. We're talking about owning your niche, how you can make more money with fewer people. That's coming up on Red Podcast.
This is the Red Podcast. Real entrepreneur development. Make more money, work less, and live a life of freedom. No BS advice that really works. Here's your hosts, David Hooper and Laurel Staples.
You're back. Laurel Staples is back. You left me hanging, lady.
I am back. I've been too busy to deal with you. No. I've just been busy working on other things, and it's been good. It just got a little crazy last week.
Well, it's good for me because you're giving me an opportunity to do more solo podcasts. It's a skill that I didn't really attempt to do until about a month ago, after 10 years in broadcasting.
How's it working out for you?
It's working out all right. Yeah, but we've gotten some comments. Hey, where's Laurel? Well, although you did make a cameo, I had an old recording of before we had our soundproof studio. And we were recording, and somebody came up to the door, left a flyer. The dog went nuts. Remember? That used to happen all the time.
Oh, gosh. It would happen all the time because we were recording in the afternoon, and that's when the postman would come, and people would put flyers on the door and knock on the door and solicit, and the dog would go nuts. So we'd have to pause and take a break and then come back to the show. There
will never be a package at our house without us knowing that it's there. And it happened today. I had another delivery and came downstairs. It was there waiting for me.
We just have a very effective doorbell called Samba. That's our dog.
This is the Red Podcast. Red stands for Real Entrepreneur Development. We help you build an audience, sell more product, and make more money. This is the podcast for influencers. You've got a book, you've got a blog, you've got something to say, you're a speaker, you're a broadcaster, podcaster. This is the podcast for you. We're going to help you make money with it. And on this episode, we're talking about owning your niche.
This is something that is really critical when you're trying to be an influencer, trying to get your message out there, is that a lot of people, I see this all the time, they don't pick a niche. They're trying to be everything to everybody. And you can't do that. There's no money when you're in the middle.
I did an episode last week. It was special episode number 8, one of these solo casts that I'm talking about. It's at redpodcast.com/SE08 if you want to listen to it. And I talked about playing the edges. There's always one person in every niche that doesn't have to play the edges, doesn't have to niche things out, has something for everybody. But I talked about the pros and cons of that. For one, there can only be one of those people. Secondly, people aren't really into him. They just kind of tolerate him. When you think about this, it's that radio show, The Morning Zoo Crew. Nobody really likes it, but they don't hate it enough to turn it off. There's one in every niche. And that's what you don't want to be. If you're really going to own your niche, you want people to love you and people to ask, where is that guy when you don't show up?
I agree. And I think a lot of people don't niche out, myself included, when I first started into business, is because it's scary. It's scary to say, okay, I'm not going to appeal to everybody. I'm going to cut down the people who are going to buy my product or service into this tiny percentage of the market. That can be a really scary thing to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it doesn't really make sense when you cut down the number of people that you appeal to that your money will increase. But that is what happens every time if you do it right.
That's a sure way to fail. You and I have both worked with a number of startup companies, and it's so common that these guys will come to us and they'll say, you know, there are 7 billion people in the world, and if we only have 0.00001 of those people, we're going to make $1 bajillion.
I love that. You see that on Shark Tank.
All the time.
If we could own 1% of the market of the 7 zillion people, then we could sell popcorn to everybody. It's like, whoa.
Yeah. Who doesn't like popcorn?
Who doesn't like popcorn? Everyone likes popcorn.
Yeah. But what you really want is that small, super enthusiastic niche. I'll run through a few of them. Gun owners, especially here where we are in the South, crazy about their niche. Golfers, completely nuts. crafty people. Have you ever been in a Michael's or a Hobby Lobby?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Crazy.
Scrapbookers.
Scrapbookers, man.
They're
Yeah,
everywhere.
completely nuts. Those are three of the big ones. There are a lot of micro niches. In the music industry, we would call these people super fans. Those are the guys that are spending 90% of the money, and maybe it's 2 or 3% of the population. We've seen it in this Kickstarter work that we've done over the last month. You know, there are these Kickstarter clubs, what they call backers clubs, where that's their hobby. They're super into backing projects, super into getting new stuff, new technology, being on the front end of things. And they'll give not just the 10, 15 bucks that everybody else is giving. We're talking hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars to a project just to be there and make sure that it actually works.
That's a great niche, and one that I would have never thought of is backers.
Yeah. Well, we've seen a lot of them. Backershub.com. There are a lot of these guys that have made businesses really targeting those niches, and they build big mailing lists full of Kickstarter backers and sell advertising to people like you, people that are on Kickstarter, to help back their projects, get the word out about them.
That's such a great idea. For me, when I first got into coaching, I was doing health coaching. And at the very beginning, when I first started, I was in the mindset of, oh, my services are for anyone. Anyone who wants to get healthy, lose weight, reduce stress. I mean, it was kind of across the board. If you wanted to start eating better, you would come to me. What I found was that I was not appealing to anybody by trying to appeal to everyone. So what I did was I niched down. I tried a couple different niches to see what was a good fit for me. Finally niched down to weight loss. If you want to lose weight through changing your eating habits in a healthy way, exercise, things like that, I was your person to go to. And then I niched down even further to say women who want to do that, women within this age group who want to do that. That's when my business really started taking off, was when I was very specific about what I did, because it allowed me to hone in on these women's specific problems on my website, in my copy, on my brochure, and my email newsletter. And I could speak to this specific person instead of just talking in generalities. So I saw that personally make a big difference in my business, and it's done that as well going forward. So it's something I definitely believe in, and today I'm excited to talk about how to do it.
I saw a vlogger on YouTube talking about what we've been talking about. You can see how she would get into this mindset. Has a channel. It's called Makeup for Grown-Ass Women.
Who's a grown-ass woman, David?
Well, let me tell you what she thinks it is. She thinks that it's every woman between 18 and 72.
What happens after 72? You're an old-ass woman after 72.
But think about 18-year-olds. We're talking college kids, maybe high school seniors. Completely different market than 30-somethings, 40-somethings, and certainly women that are 72 years old. It's completely different. Is she successful? Well, go look her up. Makeup for Grown-Ass Women, look her up on YouTube.
But she probably could be way more successful than she is now, no matter what, if she honed in on a specific target market, maybe women in their 40s. I mean, they're going to want different makeup, as you said, from women that are 18 or 72.
The makeup girls on YouTube, and that's what I was researching when I ran upon this woman. I'm not really interested in makeup myself. It's fascinating to me. They're all specialists, and most of them are specializing in what I would call the tween teenage market, probably 12 to 16. It's amazing. One of them just got her own makeup line.
Wow.
Crazy, right? That's the kind of influence that she's got.
But that's a good market to have, because who are the people that are on YouTube looking this stuff up? Because I guarantee you it's not somebody who's 72. They are going to the Clinique counter in the mall and going to ask a professional there. They're not going to go on YouTube. So it has to make sense. Your target market has to make sense for what you're doing.
Well, and it's different in a lot of ways. You know this because Love Your Face being a skincare product, that prices vary. Your partner, Kate Mason, was talking about these $500 bottles of some kind of serum or facial cleanser, $500 per bottle. That's not in your average tween's budget.
No.
But if you're 72 years old and you want to look younger, you're going to pay anything if it works. So my advice for this is go for a very specific market. Also, I think we need to throw this in, Laurel. Don't apologize for doing that. Be exclusive and don't apologize that you don't want those 72-year-old women or you don't want those tween girls. Whatever it is that you're not selling to, there's no reason for them to be watching your videos or to be on your mailing list. A lot of guys, they go for that just because they want the ego stroke. Want to say, oh, I've got a podcast. It's 40,000 downloads per day. Or I've got a mailing list, 80,000 people. Look, I don't want that kind of podcast or that kind of mailing list if the people who aren't listening or the people who aren't subscribed aren't the people that I'm trying to reach.
Speaking of that, you want to know who your audience is and you want to show loyalty to those people.
And not only those people, but the ideals behind them. We've mentioned Dave Ramsey here before. Dave Ramsey's a local boy done good. You know him as the financial advice guru. He ain't Suze Orman. Very conservative, and he's going to let you know about it. I'll give you an example of showing ideals. Remember the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge? Everybody was dumping buckets of ice on their head.
Mm-hmm.
So Dave Ramsey, he was nominated. He did it. But in the video, because ALS does stem cell research, as a good Christian man, Dave Ramsey is against stem cell research, specifically said that on the check he was writing no stem cell research. Give a nod to his more conservative fans that are going to be against that, and perhaps give him some flack for that.
And that's something that has nothing to do with financial advice, but it does play to his audience and his audience's ideals. And he's trying to be loyal to those ideals and say, hey, we're a group. We have the same ideals. We're this niche together. And so that really plays to it when you do other things like that. It might not pertain to your business at all, but it shows that you're the leader of this quote unquote tribe of people and their ideals and what they stand for, which makes you a much better leader in your niche.
He does that all the time. When the Affordable Health Care Act came out, Obamacare, sometimes it's known as, he was very, very against that. He had all sorts of commentary about how it's going to bankrupt the nation, it's anti-American. Again, nothing to do with personal financial advice. Well, maybe if you consider that people actually have to buy health care insurance now, or having health care insurance is going to help you from big medical bills. But it was more of that, I'm very conservative and I know who my audience is and I'm going to throw up a flag for them because I've got a bigger voice than they do.
On the other end of the spectrum, you get someone like David Wolf. He's a big health nut, raw foodist, all that kind of stuff. And he's going to play to his audience in a completely different way. If he finds something interesting in the holistic world, in the health field, in the wellness field, he's going to share that stuff with his audience because he knows that they're on a similar wavelength.
And that can really help. It can also be a great opportunity to make more money. If you go to davidwolf.com, his website, all sorts of recommendations for people in his niche, in his tribe, and I'm sure he's getting a piece out of every one of them.
Oh, yeah. Well, it does. It helps you create your specific tribe of super fans, as you called it, David. And it also helps you market better, and it helps you make more money because you can do affiliate deals that your audience will like. You can sell products that they'll like. You can recommend things, and you can just become the go-to person.
And because you've built that trust, they're more likely to buy.
Exactly.
That's really what this is about. If you're into any kind of affiliate marketing, building that trust, you can't just do a pump and dump, churn and burn, throw emails out there, try to hit as many people as you can, and then walk away. The real guys that are making money in affiliate marketing are the guys that have built up a relationship. We always hear those stories from her when we watch Shark Tank of Lori on Shark Tank, how she says, oh, you know, my audience would love this. She's built up trust within her audience, and she comes up with these tchotchkes that she sells on QVC or whatever she's doing. They trust her. Therefore, they buy it, and she's built up a big business doing that.
That's really what niche marketing is you're picking your niche and you're building trust with that niche.
FOMO. We talked about it on here before, fear of missing out. We talked a little bit about it earlier here in this episode, but we're going to dive a bit more into this. you're going to isolate some people when you're really, truly owning a niche, because niche by definition is not for everybody. Not everybody's going to be into you. And if you really want to be liked, this probably isn't for you, because not everybody's going to like you, and you cannot worry about those people.
I've seen business owners do this the other way around. They go into their business and they don't pick a niche, and they say, oh, I'm going to see like who really likes me and who resonates with me, and then I'll kind of narrow it down from there. So they're going wide to narrow. And what you want to do, and you got to get over FOMO first to do it, but you want to go narrow to wide. If you can really resonate with a specific niche, get over the fear of missing out of all the other niches, then if that one goes really well and it's strong, you can expand to the next one, and you're conquering a little bit of territory at a time, which is way more effective.
Remember, there's just one guy in the market who is pleasing everybody, and he's not really pleasing anybody. So even he probably has FOMO. The grass is always greener on other people's lawns.
David, how would you recommend getting over FOMO? Because I think that can be a big fear. It's like, oh, if I pick this specific niche, I'm cutting down my income. I'm cutting down the opportunities available to me.
I think you have to focus on the people that really love you and keep providing them service, keep providing them value, and keep building that portion of your audience rather than the people that aren't into you. I don't really have an example for that, Laurel, and that's unfortunate. It's kind of like dealing with haters. How do you deal with them? Don't focus on them.
I think it helps to do research and talk to a lot of people, specifically if you're trying to pick a niche market right now. If you've already picked one, these steps will really help you hone in on them. But if you haven't picked one, talk to people, talk to a lot of different potential clients and get a feel for who you like to work with. Because it comes down to who you resonate with, who you want to spend your time talking to and speaking with. So that's what I would say is go out there, research it, talk to people, get feedback, and then you'll be really confident when you do pick that niche market, and you're going to know it's right for you, and you don't have to have as much fear that you're missing out on other target markets.
You need to know this. If you stand for anything, you will 100% absolutely offend people. At the same time, if you stand for nothing, trying to please everyone, you won't get any attention.
I'm offended, David.
There are people that are offended by what we do. We've tried to keep it clean. We try to keep our language clean. People say, oh, you're too clean. If you go on iTunes and you look at some of the top podcasts that are not clean podcasts, you'll see the reviews and they'll say, oh, I can't believe them. It's great content, but they drop way too many F-bombs. You can't win.
Oh, you really can't win. I mean, you just have to do what you want to do. And the people that are your people, your quote unquote tribe, again, are going to find you and they're going to resonate with you. And that's all that matters.
The focus is on you doing something that truly is you. Have you ever met anybody like that? Maybe a friend, somebody you dated in the past. I'll give you an example. A lot of times when I meet somebody, I will say, yeah, I'm vegetarian, or we're eating. I'm not out being a champion for PETA or anything. It just comes out. I'm a vegetarian. It's what I do. It's part of my identity. And all of a sudden, they want to kind of ease into the vegetarian thing. Oh, yeah, I'm a vegetarian, but I eat fish. Well, therefore, you're not a vegetarian. Or I'm vegetarian 90% of the time. My point is this, is you can say whatever you want, and you can call yourself anything. I've talked about this on previous episodes here. A lot of times people will call themselves authors, and that might work for you at a party, but are you really an author when you've got a 10,000 word ebook? I don't know. I'd call you more of a blogger with an ebook. Eventually, the truth is going to come out. Working in any niche, if you want to have longevity, the true respect of your audience, you really need to be who you say you are. And that means acting like who you say you are.
I think the key there also is to focus less on you. You got to be you, but focus less on you and more on your audience. So you want to be the leader, but you don't want to make it all about you at the same time.
Yeah, you can't just do it for the money. I bought a book about a year ago, well-known, we'll call him a thought leader. And everybody was telling me, you've got to see this book. You've got to read this book. It's great. It's great. It's great. They hadn't read it, though. And when I got it, I was really disappointed. The first 1/3 of it, 33%, was all about this dude, had nothing to do with the actual book itself. Awful. What happened in that situation was I'm never going to buy anything from this guy again, not without at least testing it out. But I'm also not trusting the people that were recommending it. And it can work a couple ways. One, if you're the guy with the book, the product, you've got to be able to back that up, back up what you're saying, but also the products that you're recommending. And I think people forget about that. They make it all about the money, all about that referral.
I slightly disagree with you because sometimes I really like to learn about that other person and like to read about them and what they're doing because I find that kind of stuff interesting. But you have to bring it back to your audience. That's the key.
But if you bought a book, I don't disagree with you on that it's important to know who it is that you're reading, but 1/3 of the book?
It depends on how interesting it is. I mean, a book can't be too long, only too boring. If it's interesting stories about your life, about overcoming strife or opposition, that kind of stuff is interesting. If you're just rattling on, that's different. It depends on the book.
Right. Final thought on this subject of owning your niche, you've got to trust in reciprocity. If you provide value, you will see a payoff, but you can't worry about ROI, return on investment, on every little thing that you do. You have to look at the big picture and trust that if you're out there providing value, pushing value to people, having relationships, answering questions, you will get something in return.
It can be tough when you're building a business and you need to make money now, but you're also want to think in the long term and try to make money in the long term. But I think being true to yourself, staying true to who you are and who you really want to help, your niche is really going to help you along the way.
If you have questions or comments, feel free to reach out to us at redpodcast.com. While you're there, you'll also find our archive of episodes, several dozen, with everything you need to build a foundation for being an influencer. We've also got something really special right now, getting ready for the first of the year. We call it Red 3X. We're currently putting together an intimate group of high-level entrepreneurs who want to go big this year. Making more money is part of it, but we're also looking to get people in there who want more than that. Specifically, we're looking for people who want to focus on more freedom, the ability to do the work when you want in a way that allows you to live the life you want. It's called Red 3X. It's the inner circle you've been looking for. You'll get the support that you want from people that are in the trenches with you. You'll also get personal one-on-one help from both me and Laurel. It's not for everybody. It may not be for you. More information is at redpodcast.com/red3x. There is an application process. If you think you'd like more information about it, if you think you might be a good match, fill out the application. There's a one-on-one interview after that. Only the best are accepted. If we think you're a match, we will be in touch. Thanks for listening to this episode of Red Podcast. We'll see you on the next one.
You've been listening to Red Podcast, Real Entrepreneur Development. Subscribe today using iTunes, Stitcher, or via RSS at redpodcast.com.